This is 7 News with Angela Cox in Sydney and Michael Usher reporting tonight from London.
Good evening. Britain is tonight preparing for an event decades in the making, carried out with military precision, which the late Queen played an active role in planning.
Rehearsals are underway for her funeral, with thousands attending and millions more watching worldwide. For the royal family, duty calls. King Charles finishing his national tour in Wales and Prince William surprising well-wishers outside one of his grandmother's favourite country estates.
The Queen continues to lie in state this evening. Hundreds of thousands of mourners shuffling past to pay their respects and say goodbye. But not everyone in line will make it to Westminster Hall.
We had a rare insight today from the Prince of Wales about just how difficult that walk was behind his grandmother's coffin. William admitting it brought memories flooding back of his mother's funeral. The Prince was chatting to well-wishers outside Sandringham beside his wife Catherine, where 100,000 people have left tributes to the Queen.
Beyond these iron gates, memories of Christmas holidays with the woman he knew as Granny. Prince William and wife Kate inspecting the growing sea of tributes to the Queen from her Sandringham estate neighbours.
Yeah, missing her drive around. You could come and see them go into the church when she used to be able to get about.
This crowd came to pay their respects but got much more. Britain's next king candid about his grief. Opening up, revealing the painful memories evoked by yesterday's public procession, trailing his grandmother's coffin down the Mall just as he did as a 15-year-old behind his mother's casket in 1997.
Doing the walk yesterday was challenging. Back a few memories.
I thought his mother would have been proud of him.
Many here weren't expecting this royal visit.
And I just got loads of handshakes of the future king and the Princess of Wales. It was just all crazy.
This, though, the palace acknowledging grief shared beyond London, in a place the Queen and Duke of Edinburgh used as a winter escape.
Happy Christmas.
It was here Her Majesty recorded the first of 64 televised Christmas Day addresses.
Television has made it possible for many of you to see me in your homes on Christmas Day.
Stepping out alone, this the first solo appearance from the newly installed Prince and Princess of Wales. Titles bearing the weight of a family history not lost on the royal couple or those here to greet them.
I think we all miss Diana. It's an emotional day for everybody.
It's natural, really. They were always going to become the Prince and Princess of Wales, so it's how it moves on.
And that's something this grieving grandson knows. In Sandringham, David Woywood, 7 News.
And Buckingham Palace has released final details of its plans for the Queen's funeral on Monday. It gets underway at Westminster Abbey from 10 a.m. London time. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, with 2,000 invited guests and millions watching on television, a plan the Queen herself helped prepare.
Black tunics and bearskin hats, muffled drums. Rehearsals for Her Majesty's funeral under the cover of darkness. Quick steps, strong arms. 142 naval servicemen practice pulling the Queen's gun carriage and coffin for the entire funeral procession. That carriage had carried Queen Victoria, 3 kings and a Prime Minister, now being prepared for a monarch who served longer than all of them. This will be a service both drawing on history and making it at the same time.
The state funeral is the largest, most formal, the highest ranking funeral you can get. So absolutely everything will be out for Her Majesty.
London is calmly preparing for what will be one of the most elaborate state ceremonies the nation has seen. Security unprecedented. The crowds will be too. They are preparing the city for the 1 million expected. They're even removing the traffic lights to clear the path for the funeral procession. Policing strict, not that London bobbies can't make the day for a couple of kids. Monday will begin as the lying in state ends. At 6:30 a.m, the last of the public will stream past, the doors will close, opening 4 hours later to send Her Majesty on her way. The entire procession is yet again an exercise in precision. Everything is timed to the minute. 10:35, they lift up the coffin, carry it onto the gun carriage. 10:44, it leaves here, Westminster Palace, headed for Westminster Abbey. The pipes and drums lead, the King and royal family following behind. The entire route will be lined by Royal Navy and Royal Marines. 10:52, they arrive at the Abbey, unload the coffin, and at 11 o'clock precisely, the funeral begins. The service will have 2,000 attending, from heads of state to heroes of the community. Officials revealing the Queen helped plan her own funeral, choosing the music, readings and order of service. Already, members of the public are lining up outside, these two the first.
We're here to pay our respects. We're here to celebrate the life of the longest reigning monarch of our time.
The service will last just an hour. At 11:55, last post will sound and the nation will observe 2 minutes silence. Then reveille, the national anthem and a lament will be played by the Queen's piper. It will be finished by noon, and then the Queen's final journey begins. Like Wednesday's procession, the King, Princess Anne, Princes Andrew and Edward will follow behind. William and Harry too, side by side again. They will follow Wednesday's route in reverse. The gun carriage physically pulled back past Parliament Square, Downing Street, through Horse Guards, back to Buckingham Palace, up Constitution Hill to Wellington Arch.
As many people as possible, yes, can be in the Abbey, yes, watching on television, but actually saying their farewell to the Queen in person on that route.
Just as in Scotland this week, the coffin will be loaded into the state hearse, then driven 2 hours to Windsor Castle, a final chance for the public to make roadside farewells. The last stretch down the Long Walk, before arriving at St George's Chapel. It was here Prince Philip, the Queen's husband of 73 years, was farewelled last year. They'll hold a service with 800 guests, mostly the Queen's staff, past and present. And then, when the cameras are gone, 7:30 that night, the royal family will assemble again for Elizabeth's private burial, beside her father, mother, sister and husband, together again.
Chris Reason joins us live from Westminster now. Chris, hello to you. We'll see another vigil tonight.
Yeah, good evening to you, Michael. It was one of the most powerful images we've seen since the death of the Queen. The Prince's Vigil, where King Charles and 3 siblings stood honour guard at the Queen's coffin in Scotland. Well, it's going to happen here again at Westminster Hall tonight, with reports that the next generation of royals will do exactly the same thing over the weekend. Princes William and Harry leading 6 royal grandchildren in their own vigil, with Harry being given special one-off permission from his father, the King, to wear his uniform for that brief time. We're also getting confirmation that Queen Consort Camilla will continue with all of her duties despite nursing a broken toe, something, Michael, she received before the Queen died.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. Let's go to Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfield, who's in Windsor for us tonight. Hugh, good evening to you. We know we'll get almost every moment televised, but what happens when the cameras turn off for that final private burial?
Michael, there will be 2 services here at Windsor Castle. The first, the committal service, where Her Majesty's body will be lowered into the royal vault. And then later in the evening, when the invited guests have left and the broadcast ends, the royal family will remain for the burial service. The Queen's coffin, along with that of the Duke of Edinburgh, will be brought up from the royal vault, taken to the King George VI Memorial Chapel, where they will be laid to rest together alongside the Queen's parents and her sister. In essence, Prince Philip has been waiting for his wife to join him. They'll be one family, reunited in a very special private moment. Michael.
Yeah. All right, Hugh, thank you so much for that. Well, world leaders are starting to arrive in London for the funeral, including our Prime Minister, Ashley Mullaney. Hello to you. They'll be welcomed this weekend by the King.
They will, Michael. A long list of prime ministers and presidents will be attending a state reception at Buckingham Palace in what will be the first international event hosted by the King. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is due to arrive here in London later this afternoon. He will be among 2,000 guests attending the Queen's funeral at Westminster Abbey on Monday. Also in attendance, US President Joe Biden, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, along with members of the European royal families too. As for Prime Minister Albanese's first engagement, that will be with his new British counterpart, Liz Truss. No doubt the pair discussing jobs and trade. Michael?
It's an extraordinary invite list, Ash. Thank you so much for that. Well, the queue to see the Queen's body lying in state now stretches more than 7 kilometres. That's roughly the distance from the Sydney CBD to Bondi Beach, believe it or not. Up to 1 million people are expected to file past Her Majesty's coffin before Monday's funeral, although not everyone lining up will make it.
Lining the river of the capital, Londoners form their own guard of honour in honour of their Queen.
I've got to say thank you to her.
It'll be worth it?
Absolutely.
Under the shadow of monuments, mourners, hundreds of thousands of them waiting patiently for hours.
We couldn't have not taken the chance to come and say goodbye to such a majestic person. She's history in front of our eyes, and history stopped the moment that she passed away.
A kilometre into the marathon, a minor milestone. Numbered and coloured wristbands handed out.
We're quite excited to be almost getting our wristband.
The ticket to continue along the Thames and to leave the queue briefly to get food, coffee.
I think people are enjoying taking a little break from the queue to come and grab a coffee and a seat.
Even ice cream.
It's been quite manic, to be fair.
For those not willing to risk their place in line, there's Maddie Fuller.
Cheers. Have a lovely day.
The Kiwi setting up a makeshift bar to serve thousands of thirsty potential patrons.
It's early in the day. I imagine people will be drinking a lot more later on.
By mid-morning, the wait had become a rush. Barriers were brought in to snake the queue through public parks on the banks of the Thames. 750,000 to 1 million people will wind their way through, but not all will make it. Authorities warning there is a maximum capacity and it's creeping closer with every step. Those not willing to risk it tuning in. The live stream of the Queen's coffin attracting tens of thousands of views an hour.
It's been fun walking through the queues and everything, and then it's very different and sombre in there.
In London, Amelia Brace, 7 News.
And of course, we'll have live coverage here on 7 for the funeral of Elizabeth II. That will start from midday on Monday. The solemn ceremony getting underway soon after the news at 6, and I'll be live and commercial free for that.